Hi, I'm Divya, a student of marketing. What's the common difference between Nestle, Pepsi, and Dove? They're all just brands. But the concept of branding extends more than just the names. And these are just few examples that we commonly hear about. So let's hear it from Professor Srinivas. What exactly is a brand?
Welcome to the Retail Brand Strategy course in 100 minutes. In the next 100 minutes, we will introduce you to the basic concept of the subject that makes the study of this subject a lot more easier and productive for you. We're starting off from the core concept of saying what is a brand. The origins of branding actually go back to the time when cattle was branded to establish ownership. Farmers used to brand their cattle with hot iron to prove that which cow belongs to whom. From there, branding actually moved to the next stage of making consumer choice easier when buying commodities. In the absence of a brand, consumers would have to look at every piece of the product and make a decision. With brands like Coca-Cola coming in the early years of the 20th century, all people had to do is look at the label and buy the product. And we know that the brands like Coca-Cola have actually survived for over 100 years with a very consistent value delivery to consumers. The next stage of branding was actually where companies like Procter & Gamble started having more than one brand for a product category. So they had Ivory soap and they had Camay soap. And that is the origin of brand management, where different people in the organization were vested with the responsibility of handling each brand. And the role of brand management really was to manage the product right from the design, production, all the way to distribution and sales, and to ensure that the organization provided adequate focus for each of the brands that the company had. The next stage of branding, which is very similar to, which is where we are right now, is, and Seth Godin has said it, that a brand is actually a set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that together account for a consumer's decision to choose one product over the other. This is actually exemplified by a brand like Nike, where the brand is actually a mission. It's to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. And it's almost like talking to every common man saying, if you have a body, you are an athlete. This is the stage where a brand is being said as it's more than a product. It is actually an idea or a concept in consumers' minds. And this actually allows companies to expand the role of the brand to cover a lot more than just one category. So Nike can today move from just producing shoes to producing apparel, to producing even technology products that aid people to be a better athlete. And today brands are stretchable over such a wide range of products just because brands are more than just a product, but they are actually an idea in consumers' mind.
Branding makes customers committed to your business. A strong brand differentiates your products from the competitors. It gives a quality image to your business. Brand is an accumulation of emotional and functional associations.
Oh wow, I thought brand is just a word, but sounds like there's lots more to it. It starts from the product design to the distribution of the same, memories, expectations, stories, and relationships. This is what makes me choose one product over the other. But why is branding so important?
Moving on to the next topic of saying why branding is really so important. So why is branding such a hot topic and all organizations want to get into it? Like we said, the primary role in the consumer's mind is branding makes product choice easier. On the other side, branding also enables individual company products to stand out in cluttered shelves. So supermarket shelves are filled with a lot of manufacturer products, and every company wants to ensure that their product are standing out and leaping forward in the consumer's hands, and branding enables that. Branding also is important because today brands are seen as a avenue of self-expression by a lot of people. So the watch that people wear, the clothes that they wear, the cars that they drive, the clubs that they go to. So it's almost like the brands that they use almost determine the identity of the individual, and hence it is important that brands recognize it so that they are doing full justice to that. Brands also, like I said earlier, and Nike being a good example, allow companies to actually introduce a lot more products with a brand name that is already well known. So for example, the Nike electronic devices that actually track athletic performance, all Nike had to do is just launch it into the market, and the awareness generation, everything is made a lot easier because it comes from a known brand. So a known brand has the ability to extend across a lot of new products, support a lot of new products getting into market really fast. Brands like Gillette are also a good example where brands can enable the company to command a premium. People would pay a lot more for a product that comes from a known brand. This also has the other ability where a company which is able to get more profitability out of its products is able to reinvest that money into making better technology products. So a lot of the money is gone back to R&D, and again it's a virtuous cycle of better technology, better products, better branding, more profits for the company, and inherently the role of building profitability for company brands play a huge role. The other example again is brands like Apple, where we've seen that Apple is one brand that never actually talks about any of the features in their product. So if you're buying an Apple iPhone, you would really not know what is the processor capacity or what is the camera megapixel specifications, because Apple is very clearly saying that trust in us, we are the brand, we'll bring you the best, and that enables consumers to not get lost in technical data while buying the product. It also encourages consumers to pay a significant premium for Apple brands over comparable products in the market. The other interesting thing again that Apple shows us very well is a good brand is something that consumers would wait for. You know that a launch of an Apple phone is almost like a launch of a new movie, where people actually line up overnight to get the products off the shelves. That shows the degree to which consumers would actually put themselves into discomfort to actually buy the brand of the choice, and that puts again the company and the brand in a very commanding position. Another thing that branding allows is actually, because brands build memories over a long period of time, consumers actually start engaging with brands as human beings and as friends, and hence surprisingly it also allows brands to make a few mistakes and consumers can forgive them because they have a long history of engagement with the brand. So brands like Cadbury, which had a minor glitch in their product, were actually able to bounce back into the market just because consumers said, hey, this is a brand that I've known for so many years, and even if they've made some mistake, we trust that they will bounce back again. Maggi is another good example where we've seen that they came out of a really tough condition in the company because of product quality, but because the brand is very well known, the brand is sure to bounce back with a lot of renewed vigor. Another important benefit of the brand is to create a lot of pride in being associated with the brand within employees, within dealers, within suppliers, and the whole extended stakeholders. And brands like Harley Davidson, strong brands actually attract a lot of good quality employees, good quality suppliers and dealers, and that again builds a virtuous cycle on the whole brand.
Branding provides the following benefits to the producers and the consumers. Advantages to producers. Brand name helps in advertising in an easier way. Brand name establishes the permanent identity of the product. Brand name promotes repurchasing. Competition becomes easier with the help of brand loyalty. Advantages to consumers. Shopping consumes lesser time as branded products can be easily identified. The quality of branded product undoubtedly is better. Prices of branded products are fixed by the companies themselves, and there are no frequent changes. The branded product owns the responsibility for its usefulness.
Isn't that true? I think most of us wait for Apple to launch a new product, and we actually don't mind paying a premium amount for an Apple. Why? That's because of the brand. Hence, the company and the brand both are in a very commanding position.
We'll now spend a few minutes thinking of what is positioning, which is a concept that you would have heard of very often. So you would have heard various topics like what is the positioning of the brand, what is the value proposition of the brand, what is the USP of the brand. So we are going to talk about all of that. The picture on the screen you see is actually of a black sheep amongst a lot of white sheep. So positioning is actually how do brands become very distinctive and unique in the category that they operate in. Every brand owns a thought in the consumer's mind. all of us as consumers would have literally be dealing with hundreds, even thousands of brands. For every category, there'll be some 10, 15 brands. There are so many categories and ever new categories coming up. So a lot of people call positioning as a battle for a position in the consumer's mind. Brands like BMW, brands like Volvo owning safety, Maggie's stood for noodles, FedEx stood for overnight delivery. These are very singular thoughts owned by brands over a period of time, and that sharpness of the position is what we are going to talk about. In every category, strong brands actually are positioned against each other. So if we were to take the category of cars, BMW possibly stands for great driving, Lexus from Toyota stands for luxury, Toyota itself stands for reliability, Volvo stands for safety, a brand like Mercedes possibly stands for prestige. And while these are examples of global automobile brands, you will find in every category, in every country, brands occupy very distinct positions in the consumer mind vis-a-vis each other, and then consumers then gravitate towards brands whose values that they affiliate with. The other role of positioning is also, like I said, a brand is an idea or a concept, and an idea or a concept can sometimes be fairly complex. The idea might not be very easily understood by everybody in the organization. So there is an analogy of almost the 5 blind men and the elephant, where different people, if you're a blind man, you would possibly only look at one aspect of the elephant and come to a conclusion, maybe that is what the brand is. So in a typical organization, there is a sales team, there's a factory, there are R&D, there is commercial. There are suppliers and distributors. Each person associated with the company might often have a very different view of what the brand is all about. So what articulation of the positioning allows is for the entire organization to come to a common understanding of what the brand means. So they are all working towards a common goal. Some of the formats in which this is codified, and you will find it in your books, are things like the brand identity prism, or things like the brand key, which is used by Unilever. So the brand key, for example, has around 8 sections which have to be filled up, and when together this 8 sections actually is an expression of the positioning of the brand. It has things like what is the competitive environment, what is a target consumer, what's the core insight, what is the benefits, values and personality of the brand, what are the reasons to believe or the credibility builders of the brand, what is the discriminator or the USP, and finally an articulation of what is the core essence of the brand. In various ways, there are different books that will have different frameworks. There must be at least around 7 or 8 different frameworks that have been done by different authors on a brand positioning or an identity framework, but all of them play the same role of actually articulating the core position of the brand, but taking into account various factors that go into building the positioning.
Brand positioning refers to target consumers' reason to buy your product in preference to others. Brand positioning is the process of positioning your brand in the mind of your customers. The goal is to create a unique impression in the customer's mind so that the customer associates something specific and desirable with your brand that is distinct from the rest of the marketplace.
That sounds interesting. How Professor has made it easy for us to understand that brand positioning can matter so much to any company.